on this discussion segment is all about the sack of the former CJN by the CCB and, of course, the extension of tenure of the acting CJN, Muhammad, by 3 months. People have been reacting to the development. Some are positive about it, some are negative about it, while others are just indifferent about it, saying whatever will be, will be. What side of the divide do you really belong to? With me here in the studio to really throw more light into these, I have legal practitioners and, of course, a political analyst. I'd like to start my introduction by introducing from my extreme left, yes, a legal practitioner and, of course, PRO of the Nigerian Bar Association, Benin chapter, right? Doing to welcome Barrister Douglas Obankwa. Barrister, welcome to the show.
Morning, Wilson.
Appreciate your coming.
Thank you. Happy Easter viewers.
All right. And of course, very close to him is our legal practitioner, a human rights activist. Join me to welcome Barrister Anakwe Mbanefo. Barrister, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. God
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
And of course, very close to me is a political analyst, human rights activist, and environmentalist. You just name it, but look, on international politics is well grounded. Join me, welcome Leo Atakbo. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Happy Easter viewers.
All right, here we are. It began some few months ago, and Nigerians have been talking about this, talking about the battered, so to speak, former CJN of the country. And he was charged, was found guilty, and he was also sacked by the CCB, though he has gone to appeal it. And there's another twist to the story. This is my definitive tenure, and here we are having another extension of the acting CJN. Nigerians are asking, is this a script? If it's a script, who is the author of the script? Who are those pulling the strings? Or is it a new chapter in the fight against corruption? Leo Atakbo, I want to take it up from there.
Yeah, for me, at the time the CJN, Walter Onnoghen, former CJN as it were, when he was removed, I think I remember I was in Nairobi. And for me, there were questions from some other African folks around. They were like, what is happening in your country? You are just a few days away to elections, and your chief judge has been removed. What is happening in Africa? That African countries, they always have issues when it comes to election. You can see the perception, the removal of CJN Onnoghen costs, you know, at least Nigerians in the international, before the Committee of Nations. You know, one, it looks a bit embarrassing. Yeah, the approach, the manner, the speed, you know, with which his removal was announced. But again, further studying what transpired, I come to find an unknown, you know, civil society organization in the anti-corruption, working on anti-corruption issues. Because those of us who are there working on anti-corruption, we know ourselves. If it was a petition that was written by maybe an organization like SERAP or ANIJ or Transparency in Nigeria, we would say, yes, this is a known organization working in that area. But this is an organization that is not known at all, you know, doing a petition about the Chief Justice of the Federation. The first question that will readily cross your mind again is, how did that organization get the information of the code of that the CJN submitted to the Code of Conduct Bureau? Because I'm sure the lawyers here will perhaps help to throw more light on that. That document is not supposed to be in the custody of an NGO, as it were. How did they access that document? You place it side by side with what transpired with the outcome of the 2019 presidential election. Yeah? Atiku has approached the tribunal, the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, to say that I won the election by X number of votes. I obtained my document X with this way, this way, this way. And then certain persons within INEC are now being chased around everywhere now to say that how did this man get to the server? It is the same way. That is the server of Code of Conduct Bureau. How did that organization access that document with which it wrote a petition against the Chief Judge of the Federation? How did he get the document? And now they access the document. In matter of 2 days after petition was written, the man was removed from office. Yeah? He was arraigned, as it were, and by today, in less than 2 months, judgment has been given. Even the man who pronounced the judgment also has his issues with the EFCC, corruption issues. The chair of the CCT, there are issues around him. So I begin to wonder, how did all of this happen in less than 2-3 months? Judgment has been delivered. All right, so for me, there is more to what we are seeing than meets the ordinary eye. Should this be the lot of someone as powerful, I mean in terms of the office, but you know, there's this understanding that we are all equal before the law. So nobody, not even the CGN, not even the president, you know, can go against the provisions of the law and get away with it. So the blindfolded lady, yeah, it's no respect of persons. But in so many other instances in this country, we have not also seen the speed, you know, for such persons to be prosecuted.
The speed?
Yes.
You just hold on. I'll come back to you on that. Now, from what you said, it was outside the country, and people are like, you know, what is going on in your country? What is going on in Africa? Whenever there's an election around the corner, you get to see, you get to hear so many things. Now, you as a legal practitioner, now let's talk about the speed. We'll talk about other aspects of faith, because Nigerians have been complaining about the slow pace of judiciary. When you talk about judgment of cases, when you talk about cases being in court, it takes like eons of years for it to be addressed. But in this case, it's quite fast. Don't you think it's a plus for the judiciary or the CCB? Why are you laughing? Because come on, within 2-3 months to be concluded, this is the judgment. They should be applauded. Don't you think so? Well, dispensation of justice.
Yes, it is funny. It's very, very funny. You know, very, very, very funny. That's why I'm laughing with my colleague because such speed. If the judiciary has such speed, I think we wouldn't be bothering ourselves about amendments and several amendments. In recent times, the National Assembly has, you know, made some efforts to come up with new laws to actually see how, you know, trials, especially criminal trials, can be sped up so that it can just end in a jiffy, not lasting for too long a time. Yes, but this is not likely to be referred to the trial of CGN, the former CGN. Onnoghen. The truth of the matter is that the trial of former CGN is what transpired between the executive and the judiciary. You know, it's very unfortunate, very, very unfortunate, because in the recent book titled How Democracy Dies, authored by 2 professors, he talked about that the failure of democracy is not most times anchored on when the military takes over power or when the military hijacks power. The failure of democracy is often anchored on even when those who benefit from, you know, from the constitutional benevolence. When those who benefit from constitutional benevolence comes to power, and then abuse the same power, and then use same power to kill democracy. So Nigeria's situation is very unfortunate because when the executive took on the legislature, people thought that there was an issue with Bukola Saraki then as a Senate president, and probably the government, the Bukola Saraki was quite overbearing, and the government actually wanted to prove a point by trying to put the legislature on trial. But like you saw, that trial ended up as a carrot because the executive actually wanted to mess up with the legislature. The judiciary was there actually feeling that probably maybe the executive had a point. But that case ended, and irrespective of what the CCT said about Bukola Saraki, the matter was knocked off at appeal level because the Supreme Court said, well, this young man has no case to answer. And at the end of the day, the legislature bounced back. And now the same air is now blowing, the same wind is now blowing on the side of the judiciary. The executive again has taken on the judiciary. Don't forget what I said earlier, how democracy dies. The incumbent government in this country, without any fear or favor, is trying their best to ensure that they kill democracy.
But many of them would not agree to that.
Okay, no problem.
That's your opinion.
It's not an opinion.
Yeah.
Now, the fact remains that in the case between McFoy against UAC, the court had it to say that you cannot put something on nothing. It must definitely collapse. Let me take you from there. In the case of McFoy against UAC, the court held that you can't put something on nothing, it will definitely collapse. Any foundation that is laid on a false premise can never stand the test of time. In trying to digest it further, when a builder is building, or an engineer is building a house, when you fail to lay a solid foundation, there is a very likelihood that that structure must collapse. And so the trial of the former CJN was actually built on a very false foundation. Firstly, the prosecution, or those who alleged that there was an offense committed, never laid a good foundation. First of all, due process was not followed. The provisions of the law wasn't followed. The law in Nigeria is clear. The 1999 Constitution, as amended, is very clear on the trial of a judicial officer. That in case you feel that this judge had an issue, you write a petition and direct it to the NJC, Judicial Council, and they have to now look at that petition you have written. The NJC will look at the petition you have written. If it has merits, they will now make their recommendations. In the case of Onnoghen, NJC was never approached by any person. The man was removed from office, was asked to face the CCT, and the alleged offense was that he never declared his full assets. And those that was trying to prosecute him, or those who prosecuted him, pretended as if they are not aware of what the CCT Act said. The Act, it was very clear that where a declarant forgets to declare a particular asset, that declarant has the opportunity of taking another form and including that particular asset that was forgotten to earlier declare. The London Tribunal, this case issue was canvassed by counsels to Onnoghen. The trial judge ignored it and went ahead to give his judgment. Apart from that, the defense counsel raised the issue of jurisdiction on this matter and said that, my lord, you are biased in this case. My lord, you are reading a script written by the executive. My lord, this trial amounts to malicious prosecution. My lord, the executive is using you to try the CJN.
That's what he said?
Yes, my lord, we want you to hands off this case. On the issue of jurisdiction. The law is very clear that once a defense raises the issue of jurisdiction, it is clear that the judge has to recuse himself, or excuse himself, or hands off from the case, or ask the man that asked him to continue with that matter to transfer this case to another judge, because the defense counsels have said that I am biased in this case. Any judgment that came out of that trial after that issue of the jurisdiction was raised goes to no issue. And these are some of the issues that will be canvassed at the Court of Appeal as far as this case is concerned.
All right.
And I said earlier, the issue of due process not being followed, the issue of the law not being followed in this trial was also raised at appeal level. And so as far as I'm concerned, this trial is America. It's not going to stand the test of time. The whole thing will definitely be knocked off at Court of Appeal level. Okay. And even if it has survived at that Court of Appeal level, it's not going to survive the Supreme Court. Because the whole thing amounts to the trial of the judiciary. Okay. The man's conviction amounts to trial of the judiciary. And so the judiciary cannot stand and what the executive mess them up. So as far as I'm concerned, a government owes a duty to the people to ensure that the constitution, the law of the lands is being followed. Where a government in power decides to overlook the laws, it therefore means that that government is trying to, steer the country into a lawless state.
All right, thank you so much for that wonderful analysis. Talked about what happened in court, calling on the judge to stay clear, telling the judge that he's biased, telling the judge that the executive is the one using him for this aim. He talked about the NJC. You spoke at length. Now, Barrister Obankwa, still zooming in on the speed or the speedy dispensation of justice in this matter. Should it be applauded?
I think I will call it...
Or is it a fake speed?
I will call it speedy dispensation of injustice.
In what sense?
Because it wasn't a prosecution, it was a persecution. And I'll give my reasons for it.
All right.
When a nondescript civil society, like my brother Leo has said, Onnoghen, writes a petition on the 7th of January, petition was approved same day, investigation started same day. On the 8th, you filed a charge. And I think the arraignment took place on the 11th or on the 12th. What is the urgency? Do you understand? I have the privilege of passing through, of monitoring investigation as a legal practitioner. Investigation activities don't take that fast. This is the way it goes. First, the petitioner will write his petition. It will be approved by the approving authority. Then the approving authority will assign it to a team leader or maybe the head of the section. That one may also assign to another team leader who will now assign to an investigating officer. The investigating officer will invite the petitioner to give his statement, after which the petitioner may bring other witnesses to bring the statement. Then you would invite the respondent to also give his statement. And if the respondent has other witnesses, he'll bring his statement. After which you will have an interview of parties. When that is done, the investigating officer, based on the facts he has gathered so far, will have to go to town. Now you're talking about banks here, you're talking about domiciliary accounts, so you have to take statements from account officers, take statements from the bankers, statements from those who transfer to the SCGS account, those he transferred to. Are you telling me this was done within 24 hours?
Maybe they have already.
Do these people think we are living in a state of nature? Are we fools? Are you telling me all these things was done within 24 hours.
Maybe they have the means to do it.
I'm telling you, it is not possible. It is practically impossible. That is why it was a persecution. I do not know the merit of the case, whether the CJN is guilty or not. But when a blind man sees a scenario that is not attuned with nature, he would know. Now, the judge, they argued on the issue of jurisdiction on the 22nd of January 2019. And the case was adjourned to the 28th of January 2019. Is it for the ruling also? Or no. The issue of jurisdiction was adjourned to the 28th for argument of the motion of preliminary objection. On the 23rd, from nowhere, an enrollment of order showed up. Are you telling me that you can remove the Chief Justice of Nigeria by an ex parte order? Sometimes lawyers want to just serve the other party. But the judge will say, no, you have not done the right thing. You're talking about the head of an arm of government here. The most powerful man in the judicial arm of government. You cannot do that by ex parte. Ex parte order means you did not even hear the other side.
No.
You didn't give the man an opportunity to be heard. Even God, the omniscient and omniscience God, in the Garden of Eden, knowing what Adam has done, he still asks Adam, what have you done? That is where the principle of natural justice originated from. So for them to think that we are fools, I'm just laughing. You may own today, but you don't own tomorrow. Nobody knows tomorrow. So whatever they are doing, let them do. But we will continue to fight injustice until we find a solution to it. Now, the law is that when a court does not have jurisdiction, the only thing the court can do is to, when a party canvasses that the court does not have jurisdiction, at that point, the only thing the court can do is to determine its jurisdiction. You cannot do any other thing. There are replete cases. Those of me mentioned and Halliburton, you have Attorney General of Lagos State, Attorney General of the Federation. These are Supreme Court cases. When a court does, jurisdiction is intrinsic to adjudication. It is the live wire of adjudication. So when they not say you don't have jurisdiction, you shave it aside because you want to do a hatchet man's job. Dala the woman should know that he has found his name in Ifemi. When the story of Nigeria is said tomorrow, you cannot be on the side of good history. So some people, they think that you are sowing that name for life.
No,
hold on.
What
I'm trying to say,
by some background, talking about Dan Ladi, some people are still there, still in the NJC, still in the judiciary, backing him up. So what would you say is the man's opinion?
Listen, if you choose,
you're not working with some group of persons, lawyers, barristers also.
A hatchet man, that is your business.
Well, to him, he's not a hatchet man.
That is his business. The truth I'm trying to say is that they did a petition against Justice Onnoghen. The man answered to the petition. Just like my learned colleague have said, well, Justice Onnoghen issued that statement. Someone said he was hasty, he admitted guilt. I said, no, the man is the Chief Justice of Nigeria, understands the law. The law is that, just like he has said, when you omit to declare some of your assets, and you now declare it, you cannot now. In fact, the section says that it cannot be a subject of prosecution anymore. Then even the section in which he was convicted talks about legislators. Is Justice Onnoghen a legislator? Let's be frank in this country. The section in which Umar used in convicting him, he said, and the legislature shall, it was called the legislature, is Onnoghen a legislator? In Lakami and Attorney General of the Federation, a landmark case which was decided in the 1960s, it talks about legality. Just like he said, you can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand. For you as an adjudicatory authority, for you to make an order, it must flow from the law. You cannot bring your nuances and your idiosyncrasies and you impose it on the Nigerian people. These people, they're not talking to fools. We are letter people. You're talking about the Chief Justice of Nigeria. So they can do whatever they want. Just like he said, it will not stand in the Court of Appeal. It will not stand in the Supreme Court. And we want Nigerians to know that we're not doing this to shield anybody from anything. We're just saying that due process be followed. Because the procedure for if the Constitution provides for a procedure, it's not for you as another person, as a mere mortar, to now say, no, you shelve the constitutional procedure and you now want to bring in your own procedure. The Constitution is clear that For any judicial officer to go through prosecution, it must go through the disciplinary measure of the National Judicial Council. The Ngwajiwa's case is there. Ngwajiwa and Federal Republic of Nigeria decided in 2017. That is the law. Supreme Court, that is the law. And if you, on your own, you don't follow that process, whatever you have done is a nullity. Why was Justice Ajumogobia's case, why was it dismissed by the Federal High Court? Because they followed the Ngwajiwa's case. In the judicial, we follow judicial precedent. And when Justice Ajumogobia was indicted by the NJC, and she was recommended for prosecution, the same EFCC rearrested her and arraigned her afresh. So why is it difficult for us to understand these things in this country? Just like my friend has said, it was all about the 2019 elections. Let us not deceive ourselves.
All right, whatever they say here is an opinion. It has nothing to do with ITV Radio. But I'd like to urge you, gentlemen, to please watch your emotions. All right, so the emotion will not get the better part of us. Now, we are talking about the law here, talking about judiciary, talking about men and women of integrity right now, trying to iron out the case of the former CJN. And of course, we have a new CJN, though in active capacity. Would you want to say that the NJC didn't do the needful in this case? After all, former CJN is part of them.
Well, I think the NJC, they did their best in the circumstance. Because first, they issued a query to the acting CJN. Why would you accept that position when these are the issues that, you know, are on the ground? You know, your boss is being humiliated and you are coming to take his position. You know, the NJC frowned at that, and that was good, that was professional. All right? Now, as it were, Justice Onnoghen looked at the whole situation. He's a married man with children, wife and children. You feel at some point, let me not embarrass, you know, let me just resign from this position, or something of such, you know. And then he did what a gentleman should do. The day the CCT man was pronouncing judgment against him, if you watch him, he was very calm and was smiling, you know, even though, you know, that kind of smile of discontent or whatever. But you see in him that, who are these people, you know? It was just obvious. So, the acting CJN at some point, you know, because this man has resigned, and then the president has, you know, written to the NJC to say, extend this man's stay. The NJC said, to avoid vacuum, I'm sure, you know, let this man's stay be extended by another three months, yeah? But again, as the erudite lawyers here have put this issue very succinctly, Onnoghen is immediately, in less than 24 hours, whatever, he filed his notice of appeal to say, no, this cannot stand against me. You know, so that's the right thing to do. And so he's following it methodically. As it were, ordinarily, if a man of that caliber has any issue, due process ought to have been followed. The NJC is there. Ogbanku has stated clearly in the case of Ajumogobi. You write a petition, send your petition to the NJC. The NJC will discipline any of their members. So it is from there. They will even write to Mr. CCT if there is any issue to be done there, to say, okay, look at this issue. But all those procedures were not followed in this case. So the point here is this. It is good to pursue people who have done wrong thing in this country. It is the right thing to do, to pursue people who have offended, who have run foul of the law. But in pursuing people who have run foul of the law, let us be very transparent, let us be open about it. Let us not give room for people to interpret our actions in ways different from the way they are. It's important that we must, you know, face the law with that blindfolded, the lady, the blindfolded lady. Everybody must be equal before the law. So when you start pursuing somebody in a way and manner that suggests that the person is being persecuted, you just remove the beauty of what you are doing. There are several instances across this country, length and breadth, of people that should be pursued. Nigerians have been calling for them to be pursued if you want to pursue people that have run foul of the law. But they are not being pursued. They are not being investigated. We are even begging them, say, investigate this, investigate that one. They are not even being investigated. But the man that is sitting on you, perhaps you don't like the color of his skin. You don't like the face, that is put up in the morning. And you just suspect that, oh, this man may not do my bidding. And you just feel that, oh, the right thing to do now is to humiliate him, bring him down, treat him this way, treat him the other way. That in itself, even in the sight of God Almighty, that we all claim to serve, is wrong. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. Those in authority must not forget that you are there, but for some time. Tomorrow, someone else will occupy that position. These positions are transient positions. Let us not live today as if there is no tomorrow. Because that seems to be, the picture, the signal that certain persons get around issues like the trial of Justice Onnoghen.
Right. Still remaining on the NJC, would you want to say that the Judicial Council of Nigeria, they are toothless bulldog? Because, come on, this is their own. Doesn't mean they don't have the capacity to handle their own issue without interference from the executive. No. So,
that question is of no moment because the NJC, as it were,
no moment in what time, because they are there, they are watching. NJC, they even extended the tenure of an acting CJ, and why not say this is the man we know? If there want to be a vacuum, let there be a vacuum until true justice is dispensed.
As I said, that question is of no moment because NJC, as it were, is a creation of the Constitution. All over the world, lawyers and judges earn their respect. All over the world, judges and lawyers are a group of institutions that calls the shots when it comes to, fundamental rights, rule of law.
Are they calling the shots now?
Yes, they're calling the shots.
Seriously?
Judges do their things through due process. You don't expect NJC to go and carry placards and be on the streets. The extension of the tenure of Tanko Mohammed, the acting CGN, is merely administrative. It's merely administrative. It has nothing to do with the powers of NJC as to whether they are toothless bulldog or not toothless bulldog. Don't forget that the Constitution, the 1999 Constitution as amended, is a grand norm. It's a law through which every law flows. There is no other law in the land that is above the Constitution. And NJC derives the power from the Constitution. But maybe that is what the executive forgets. A market, a country can survive the absence of religion, but a country cannot survive, of course, the absence of justice. The mere extension of the tenure of the acting CGN has nothing to do with what may be the likely outcome of the appeal, coming from the appeal on the conviction of the CGN. So I don't see it as an issue for now. I think what should be bothering me and you is that this country belongs to all of us. And if we are very sincere about this country, we should be mindful about what we do, both those in authority and those that are not in authority. If you take a look at few nations today that we term as first world, the few nations we feel that are doing very well, the only thing that is making them to make progress is their respect for rule of law, their respect for their country's constitution, their respect for their country's judiciary. Any country, no matter how powerful it is, that has a blind eye over the laws, that country has only a limited time to exist. A president of a nation, no matter how powerful, cannot ignore what the laws of that nation. In the first place, he wasn't even the maker of those laws. Those laws are sacrosanct laws made by the body or people that was given that responsibility to make those laws, legislature. And for this country to be a great nation, we look forward to the time we will get leaders who will respect the law. So it's not enough for you to come out and say a man is a criminal, a man is corrupt, a man has stolen. And then you, the leader, is not trying to do the job of a judge and that of a court. It's not going to work. And so for a government to prosper, the government must respect separation of powers. You have the legislature, you have the executive, you have the judiciary. No arm of this government should stampede the other arm of the other institution. And that is what we are seeing in this country right now. And it's not working for any person. You can't talk about a sound economy without talking about a very sound laws to fine-tune that economy. For instance, in 2015, the minimum wage for Nigerian workers officially was 18,000 naira. Then by the exchange rate, it was $103. Today, we have increased the minimum wage to 30,000. Going by the exchange rate, it translates to $83. So the man who earned 18,000 naira in 2015, that money had value than the man who is now earning 30,000 naira, which is now below that what it used to be in 2015. So are we moving forward, or are we going backwards? The trial of this, the CJN is very diversionary. That's not our problem. During the time of the Clinton's administration, Clinton was asked, what is the secret of American democracy? What makes American democracy work? And the man gave 3 reasons. So the first reason is a sound economy. Second reason is sound economy. And third reason is sound economy. And according to my brother, the former governor of Anambra State, and recently the vice presidential candidate of PDP, Peter Obi, during the debate he was asked to make his comment on corruption. And he did say that he can't, because a thief entered their supermarket, putting it, in layman's language. And you now abandon the supermarket and you're not chasing the thief along the street. In the fight against corruption, we must be very honest with ourselves. We must fight, allow the institution that is allowed to do that job to do a job. You don't do a human job, you don't do a one-sided job. A governor in the one of the northern states was accused of taking bribes in foreign currency. And up to date, that governor is not facing trial in any court in Nigeria. I don't know his name, but I was even told that the man was returned back to power. And then a CJN of the Federation was not the even the police and the EFCC and DSS was not allowed to do their job. And then we had a demand and the man was convicted. And somebody somewhere over there is allowed to keep acting as a governor. Again, let me say this. The legitimacy of a government depends on the government's willingness to obey the rule of law, obey court orders. In this country, we are aware that Dasuki's case is still on. That the Nigerian court has granted bail to Dasuki, former National Security Advisor. The executive refused the man to go home. Al-Zaki has been granted bail severally by different courts in this country. And the executive refuses them to go home. A legitimate government has a legitimate duty to obey court orders. And if a government cannot obey court orders, I definitely wonder how that same government wants citizenry to be law-abiding.
All right.
And so we owe a duty to this country. We owe a duty to the upcoming generation. We owe a duty to ourselves. We should leave something for people coming behind us to emulate.
Okay.
And so what example are we showing?
All right.
To the incoming generation.
Now, you just hold on. Still zooming in on the NJC. Through instruction given by the executive, a tenure was extended, of which one of them, according to you, is being humiliated, persecuted. I throw that same question to you, Barrister Bankwa.
Before my colleague will come in.
Hold on.
Nobody gave instruction to NJC.
Hold on.
It is merely administrative. You can take it from there.
Okay, now, the NJC, is that institution a toothless bulldog? I threw the same question to you. And you're going to answer that same question for what is playing itself right now.
The truth is, I don't know whether it's even a bulldog at all, because the way it stands, personally, I'm disappointed. I have been one of those that have always advocated for them to be a body like that because of the influence you might have at the state level in concerns state high court judges. But from what is playing out now, I think it's time for us to scrap that body. I'm talking personally.
Personally?
Yes. And the reason for that is very simple. What is sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. If the former Chief Judge of Abia State can be compulsorily retired because he presented himself for swearing in without the recommendation of the NJC, why shouldn't Justice Mahmoud be retired? I'm being very practical. I don't know how to. That's my life. I don't know how to paint it. I say the way it is. The same Justice Mahmoud said came from a prayer ground on a Friday, without the recommendation of the National Judicial Council, of which you were vice chairman at that time. You presented yourself with the president for swearing in. You stood as a vice chairman yourself to compulsorily retire the Chief Judge of Abia State. And because of the constitutional crisis we had at the NJC among themselves chose Justice Umaru Abdullahi, former president of the Court of Appeal, as their chairman. And petitions were written, counter petitions were written. And Justice Mahmoud said, I said that he presented himself for swearing in because he was obeying a court order. I don't know which one is higher, the Code of Conduct Tribunal, a federal high court which said you should not remove, suspend the CJ, the National Industrial Court, who said you should not remove. So why will you choose to obey an inferior tribunal over a superior court of record? Then again, the president or chairman of the CCT, Code of Conduct Tribunal, said that because he was petitioned, first to the NJC, then to the Federal Judicial Service Commission, he replied both of them and said, he's not under supervision of any judicial supervisory body, that he reports to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What does that tell you? It means that he's doing a yeoman's job. So let's call a spade a spade. The NJC have acted in a way that does not follow precedent. And we, as lawyers, as a legal profession, we follow precedent. What is sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. Justice Mahmoud's extension as an acting CJN, for me, it's actually a sour taste in the mouth. Because what you're trying to do is that you're trying to distort, because there's something that we, as lawyers, we hold together, is the unity that we have as an institution. Same with the judiciary. We tend to protect each other. And when I say protect each other, I'm not talking about individuals, but the institution. Because what you have done now is that you have exposed, for me, I told myself that is the day Justice Onnoghen was convicted, was the day judiciary lost its bite. And those of them who were co-conspirators in what is happening, tomorrow they will be victims of the same process. Because the Constitution is clear that the National Judicial Council shall not be under the supervision of any authority or body. It's an independent body that acts on its own. That is why you find scenarios like in Rivers State, because they said you shall appoint either the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Chief Justice of a state, or the Judge of a state on the recommendation of the NJC. The governor or the president cannot pick people at random. So when in Rivers State, the NJC recommended Justice Okocha for appointment as Chief Judge, and the governor had another person, the then president of the Customer Court of Appeal, as Chief Judge. While he appointed the person as Chief Judge, the NJC dismissed the person. And for 1 year, courts were not operating in Rivers State. And I was in a meeting when the then governor in Abuja, when the then governor came to address the Nigerian bar association. Lawyer said, "You cannot address us, Rotimi Amici. You that don't have respect for the law." And I don't want to say what happened there, because of. But I'm just trying to say that as a body, the National Judicial Council is the highest disciplinary body of the judiciary in Nigeria. But in this particular matter, they have not acted according to precedent. They have guidelines, one of which is that you cannot, as a judge, present. Those guidelines were made pursuant to the Constitution, because Constitution said that the NJC shall make guidelines to oversee their affairs. And if one of the guidelines of the NJC is that you, as a judge, shall not present yourself for swearing in to any authority without the recommendation of the National Judicial Council. The NJC procedure is not, how will I put it, it's not something that can be circumvented by even a court of law. Because the Constitution itself because what many Nigerians don't know is that hearings at the NJC are like courts. They will read your charge to you. You give your evidence. Your lawyers are there. They are just like normal court. So they take evidence and all that. That's why you see they don't circumvent to another court, because whoever is the chairman of the NJC himself is a very senior judge. Whoever the person will be, very, very senior judge. So you bring your witnesses, you bring your documents. They will cross-examine you on it. Whoever has been evidence, and they file written addresses and all that. So for you to now say the Code of Conduct Tribunal, which is like a committee, will now give orders that countermine those of the NJC. The NJC have, in their wisdom, decided that the ex-CJN should be compulsorily retired. That is what the Constitution recognizes. If the Constitution did not say that the appointment, removal, discipline of judges shall be subject to court of law, or that decisions of the NJC shall be reviewed by a court, it didn't say that. So the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal cannot impute into Nigerian legal jurisprudence what is not provided by law. And that is the government of Lakami and Attorney General of Western Nigeria, to say that if the law does not provide for something, you as a judicial body, you cannot pronounce on it.
Well, thank you so much, Barrister Douglas Ogbankwa. Two legal practitioners having two separate opinions about the viability, about the strength on the bite of the NJC. Mind you, whatever they say is entirely their own opinion. It has nothing to do with ITV Radon, and let me come to you, Leo Atapo. You've seen these two gentlemen giving separate opinions about the operations of the NJC in this particular issue. The NJC as a body supposed to be independent. Are they really independent, knowing fully well that some things that they ought to follow in the law stipulated by them is being violated in this particular issue?
Clearly, what is at play is the factors that, make a country to be described as a developing country or a developed country. If you look at what are differences between our democracy in Nigeria and democracy in advanced democracies, it is because of scenarios like these ones that are at play. Yeah? Because elsewhere in civilized world, some of the things you are hearing here, you will not hear them there. Institutions are respected. You see a man like Trump, when he became US president, he had several intentions. He wanted to do this, he wanted to do that. But the system, the legal system in the US, disallowed him from carrying out some kind of operations that he wanted to. So that is why, for democracy to flourish, the rule of law, must be at its optimum. And so, what is at play at the NJC is a clear case of weaknesses in our institutions, whether they are constitutionally established or not. Weaknesses everywhere. Otherwise, why will, one of them just present himself to be sworn in? As a backward put it. Why should he present himself when you know the procedure to be followed? It's as a result of the weaknesses. Now, we have also allowed religion. We have allowed all those sentiments to creep into institutional operations. Ethnicity, religion is at play. If you dig deep, you find all of those, things that are tearing this nation apart, at play at those levels. And so that is why, for Nigeria to really make progress democratically, we really need to sit down again as a people. What do we really want as Nigeria? The constitution we have, the ground norm we have, is it sufficient to take us to the next level that the present government wants to take us to? Do we need to review that constitution? So all this must be taken into account, because from all indications, something is amiss with the removal, with the resignation, with the appointment of a new CJN for the country. Something is amiss, something is wrong somewhere that we are not getting very clear. Certain persons are hiding certain information from us. Certain persons are hiding their intentions from us. Certain things are not clear. There are certain prosecutions you do, everybody will say hallelujah to it. Everybody will praise it. But this particular one that you see, so many people are saying this, these other ones are saying that. Those who say, oh, yes, it is to show that nobody is above the law. Fine. Mr. President of the country is not above the law. The VP is not above the law. Yeah? The Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Reps, not above the law. But we saw the attack on these other arms of government by the executive, this past 3.5 years, almost 4 years. We saw the deliberate effort, but we come through the issue of pursuing corruption and anti-corruption. Don't forget that the Senate President was also arraigned before that same CCT. The man sat there for several days. His colleagues were escorting him there. All those kind of, I really don't know how that, institution was established. But you saw how they did all those home video for everybody. And after watching it, it's okay, the man had no issues. And then eventually they were saying, okay, is he a member of our party? He's not a member of our party. And the next thing we will see after all of those, the man says, okay, I'm no longer in your party. He now belongs to another party. Yeah? So, politics are now allowed to creep into major national institutions. Even security institutions have been even politicized. You saw what happened even during the elections. where even the military in some parts of the country were alleged to have been involved in undermining the electoral process. You know, we saw all of that even on camera. You know, so an attempt to politicize, you know, revered institutions is what is at play here. And for us to make progress as a nation, we must desist from doing that. We should not politicize. We should not bring in religious, ethnic sentiments to bear on major, you know, national institutions like the NJC, for instance. We should not do that for the military, for instance, because these are the bastions of hope for any nation. If you politicize the NJC, or you bring in religious sentiments to becloud the real reason, the core reason why these institutions were put in place in the first instance by the Constitution, those who drafted the Constitution, then you're undermining the growth and the development of that country. And that's exactly what we're experiencing. So if we continue on this pathway, we are sure not going to make progress as a nation. There is the need for those who are behind the trial of Onnoghen to have a rethink. Because again, we talk about precedent. We also talk about the perception, the public perception of what is going on. I told you a story ago while I was out, how the perception of people heard about African leaders. Oh, just a few days to your election, this is what is happening in your country. That is perception of the international community as to what was happening. But that is not to say that that I will sit here and say if Onnoghen, you know, violated the law, you should not face it. Yeah, but how do you bring him to face justice? Do you bring him to face justice through the back door? Because this is the kind of judgment that certain persons would describe as the black market, you know, judgment. You know, you don't just pursue a man, you know, pursue everybody, see you are just pursuing this man, you are just pursuing. There are so many criminals all around. That for you, for even the law enforcement agencies are being overwhelmed. Look at the insecurity issues. The law enforcement agencies are being overwhelmed by insecurity across the country. So there are so many people to pursue, really, people who are really undermining the country that you really have to pursue. But people who are just constitutionally going about their businesses, you know, you don't necessarily. And this is a man who is not even running away. He's there with you. So the speed with which you are chasing him, you know, also gives some kind of, you know, some cloud of doubt as to why you are really chasing him.
Wow. Barrister Onnoghen Banefo, do you still stand by your opinion that this question is not germane? About the NJC, like what he raised 2 points, talked about, more than 2 points actually. He talked about religion, he talked about ethnicity, he talked about politics, having a strong grip on the institution, talking about the NJC.
Well, I'm entitled to my own opinion, right? Yes.
Yeah.
My opinion is that when you go to court and you lose a case and you're not satisfied by the judgment given by the lower court, what do? You go upstairs.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody feels that the action of the NJC is not in tandem with the Constitution, you can ventilate your anger by also going to court to challenge that you know, action. So what I'm trying to say is that NJC as a body has been created by the Constitution. Their powers, their limits, and everything is there. Like my friend said, nobody's above the law. So if anything takes place and you think it's not constitutional, is that due process was not followed, you are free to go to court. So again, this takes us to the independence of the judiciary. How independent is the judiciary?
Hold on now, sir.
Yeah.
Are you trying to move away from the NJC issue? Because that's what it sounded like right now.
No.
There's a question still hanging.
I'm trying to answer your question.
But it's like you're moving away from it.
No. I have to analyze it for you to understand.
Okay.
So if you expect me to tell you yes or no in your question, you're making a mistake. Yeah. You know, so It takes us to independence of the judiciary. Is the judiciary really independent? And again, is the government actually doing what they ought to do? Before us here in this country, you know, the acting chairman of EFCC was not cleared by the Senate, by the National Assembly. And up to date, the executive said that Magu should continue to stay as the acting chairman of EFCC. I think the problem is more of the executive than the NJC.
How?
Yes. Sometimes, if you have a government like this that is not actually obeying court orders, that is not listening to the legislature, that is not, that is the feeling that whatever they say is good and is final, that is not democracy. That is not democracy. And it's not true democracy. I have said this in several forums, that what we are actually observing here is more of a transition than a democracy. Well, like my friend said, that what is happening, well, it's an opinion, of course. If you are saying it has to do with maybe religious sentiments, it has to do with tribal sentiments and whatever. Well, you have to prove it as to how has religion come into it and how has tribal sentiments come into it. But talking from a legal point of view, in this case, I feel that we are having serious challenges because the government themselves are not living up to the biddings as far as respecting the rule of law is concerned, as far as respecting separation of powers is concerned, as far as obeying court orders are concerned. They have not done, you know, what they ought to do. And so that is why probably it looks as if that NJC is handicapped in this case. It looks as if, because NJC may have done their bidding, their own bidding. It's left for the government to accept that which they have done, or they're recommending. Or not, where the government remains adamant. NJC can, like I said earlier, cannot carry placards to the streets. So it's also left for us as lawyers to take it from there. That's okay. If government has failed to do this or do that, we could go to court challenging the action of the government. So I cannot stand here and say that.
Okay, hold on. Before we go on a break, I really want you.
Confidence.
I really want to push this question at you.
I still have confidence on NJC.
Talking about issues, really, because really it's a respected institution, a respected body, but with this particular case, Nigerians are beginning to doubt the viability, the credibility, the strength, and of course the purpose of the NJC. Obankwa, please take it up from that.
I think, thank you so much for coming to my defense. Whatever I have said is not an indication to, it's a revered body, but when you dangle the truth, it will always stand on a tangent, straight line. What I said is the truth. You cannot have a rule for A, and when it comes to B, you apply another rule, and you want to tell me that you are doing justice. You're not doing justice. Let's call a spade and not by another name. Do you understand? The truth of the matter is that I understand my learned friend is trying to be cautious. It's understandable. But Nigerians need to understand the issues here. I don't have any personal interest in the matter. I don't know Onnoghen, I've never met him. I don't know Mahmoud, I've never met him. I don't know any of the political actors in the matter. My only interest is the good governance in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, of which I am a citizen. And I owe a duty to fellow citizens to tell them the truth and nothing more. So, concerning the National Judicial Council, I was somewhere yesterday where the discussion as to federalism was an issue in Professor Edoba Omorege's birthday party. And the issue of subsidiarity, which, you know, revolves around devolution and the concentration of power in a way that the states will have the real powers, was an issue. And a tangent of it is the fact that, you know, people are saying that why should we have just one Supreme Court in the whole of Nigeria? Why shouldn't have, like they have in America, circuit courts, like each of their states have their Supreme Court? When it pertains to state issues, the federal Supreme Court only attends to constitutional and very vital federal issues. That's where you are. Because I was in the Supreme Court, the last time I was there, they were adjourning matters to 2023.
2023?
Yeah, 23, you understand? And so they said justice delayed is what? Justice denied. So we are beginning to look at these issues. Okay, we need total restructuring of this country. The way this country is, we might say Federal Republic of Nigeria, but my brother, we're operating a unitary system where about, is it 59 or so issues are in the hands of the federal government. The issues you have in the hands of the state government are very mundane issues. Education, health. Do you understand? I become the local government, parks, cemeteries, bicycles, radio license. The real power is in the federal government. Telecom, foreign currencies, foreign affairs, even weights and measures. Do you know weights and measures? Minerals, oil and gas, postal service, even postal service. Postal service is in the hand of the federal government. And if you look at the revenue sharing formula in Nigeria, even though it is the states that lay it is the goose that lay the golden egg, the federal government eats a larger chunk of it. So you see a scenario like the federal government getting close to half of Nigeria's resources. And I've asked this question severally. Nigeria is the only country in the world where states make money and the federal government takes it directly. They call it federation account. And ministers of finance will fly to Abuja every month to go and share money. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. So even recently we had a scenario of, we didn't even know they were mining gold in Zamfara state, and it belonged to private individuals. Whereas the oil in the south belongs to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What is happening in this country? Let us call a spade a spade. The way this country is now, we cannot continue like this. We must restructure it. We need total restructuring. All those national political conferences that they go and bring report, no. If we should have a sovereign national conference. Okay, even if you say the issue of dissolution or disintegration will not be an issue, but let that conference be a sovereign one that can determine the pace, the future that this country should go.
All right. Thank you so much, because we are at the end of this discussion. You talked about the ministers going to Abuja to share money. That is not what they go to Abuja to do. They go there for the benefits of Nigerians to discuss.
They want to share money to the states. That's what happens.
No, but just said shared money to who? So please,
to the states. No, I've put it in perspective.
All right.
They share money to, not as if they share to themselves. Yeah. They share to the states, yes.
Okay, now you've clarified the issue. Now, gentlemen, we'll take 1 minute each to summarize the points you've given on this platform, talking about the sack of Justice Onnoghen and tenure extension of acting CJN Mohammed. Let me start off from you.
Well, the sack of Justice Onnoghen from power, for me, is a very dangerous trend for this country, and it raises a whole number of issues. As it has been stated in the course of this conversation here today, it's obvious that this happened perhaps in the court of first instance. At the court of the second instance and at the Supreme Court, perhaps we are going to have a clearer judgment given to Onnoghen. We expect that. We also know that what has happened to Onnoghen can happen to anybody in the country. Because when they came for the Jews, he said, "You are not a Jew." They came for the Poles, he said, "No, you are not." But by the time they came for your people, he said, "No, that they shouldn't come for you." But you were there when all this were happening. So we need a total revolution in this country that will sweep through everywhere. We need to look at this, our constitution again. We need to review our constitution. We need to restructure Nigeria.
All right.
We need to put it on a strong foundation.
Thank you.
Going forward.
Thank you so much, Leo Ataku. Barrister Bane, for 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you very much, Wish Nomasho. This is Star Monday. It's a pleasure being here today. I want to thank the viewers who have listened to us, our opinions and all that. Well, on a final note, I want to say that the implication of the conviction of the former CJN, according to what my friend wrote on his screen here, its implications, is that the man's conviction demarcates Nigeria. The kind of image he's creating about this country is on the negative side. If a man is found guilty of corrupt practices, if a man is being tried for an offense that is committed by him, then nobody will find out it. And I think that, I have said it before earlier, that a country can survive the absence of religion and not the absence of justice. And that he who goes to equity must go with a clean hand.
Thank you.
And that for this country to move forward, the only way we can move forward is for we to ensure that we reposition the judiciary, is for the executive to do the right thing, is for the government to do the right thing, and not trying to give a dog a bad name in order to hand the dog.
Thank you so much. Obankwa, you have your 1 minute. 1 minute.
I'll start by saying that Martin Luther King said that peace is not just the absence of war, but the presence of justice. We want to see justice being done in this matter. What we have seen so far is more than that meet the eyes. And this matter should trigger off a total overhaul of Nigeria federal structure. We want fiscal federalism, we want subsidiarity, where states can have control over their resources and their institutions and issues that concerns the states. That's my take on the matter. Thank you
so much, gentlemen. I appreciate the wonderful analysis. Thank you so much. Well, whatever they say here is their own opinion. It has nothing to do with IETV Radio. We didn't come to this platform to demerit any institution. No, it's just to talk about the issues as they emerge. Thank you, all of you, for being a part of the show. Bye for now.